In the vast fields of Nebraska, where agriculture forms the backbone of daily life, a quiet but profound shift is underway. It's a story that captures the tensions between national policies and local realities, one that raises questions about the future of rural America. Today we're diving into the economic pressures facing Nebraskans, from rising healthcare costs to corporate consolidations, and how these issues are reshaping the state's political landscape. To understand what's happening now, it's helpful to look back at Nebraska's economic foundations. This Midwestern state ranks among the top producers of corn, soybeans, and beef in the U.S., with agriculture contributing billions to its economy each year. Yet, for decades, farmers and workers here have navigated challenges like fluctuating commodity prices, trade disputes, and increasing market concentration. These aren't abstract issues. They directly affect families, communities, and even the ballot box. Take the recent mayoral election in Omaha, Nebraska's largest city. In May, Democrat John Ewing Jr. secured a victory over the incumbent Republican mayor, who had held the office for an extended period. Ewing's campaign emphasized practical solutions to everyday problems, such as housing affordability and local infrastructure improvements. This win highlighted a growing appetite among voters for leaders focused on tangible results rather than ideological battles. It also mirrored broader trends seen in national elections, where economic concerns often trump partisan divides. But the pressures extend far beyond urban centers like Omaha. In rural areas, soybean farmers, a key part of Nebraska's agricultural sector, have voiced deep frustrations with past federal policies. During the Trump administration, trade tensions with major export markets led to significant hardships for these producers. At a recent gathering of the Nebraska Farmers Union, members described the current situation as one of the most severe economic downturns in decades. Many who supported Trump in previous elections now express a sense of abandonment, pointing to unfulfilled commitments to protect agriculture amid global trade conflicts. One farmer noted that the industry, which underpins not just Nebraska but much of the Midwest, risks broader economic fallout if these issues persist. Compounding these agricultural woes are escalating healthcare expenses. Nebraska, like many states, relies heavily on the Affordable Care Act's marketplace for insurance coverage. In 2025, a record 136,000 residents enrolled through this system. However, enhanced premium tax credit subsidies that have helped keep costs manageable are set to expire at the end of the year unless Congress acts to extend them. For those earning above 138% of the federal poverty line, which includes a substantial portion of enrollees, premiums could rise sharply starting in 2026. Examples from local reports illustrate the scale. One individual's monthly premium might jump from $350 to $1,700, while another's could increase from $125 to $518. These hikes aren't isolated. They reflect national debates over healthcare funding and could strain household budgets in a state where median incomes hover around the national average. Amid these economic strains, Nebraska's political scene is showing signs of fatigue with the status quo. Consider Representative Don Bacon, a Republican from the state's 2nd Congressional District, often described as one of the more centrist voices in his party. Bacon has announced he won't seek re-election after his current term. In public statements, he has critiqued the lack of restraint in national discourse, particularly from high-profile figures. Bacon highlighted a recent incident involving insensitive comments about a tragic personal loss, arguing for greater decency and moral clarity in leadership. His decision underscores a broader sentiment among some Nebraskans across party lines who seek representatives prioritizing character and effective governance over division. This yearning for change is perhaps most evident in the ongoing impacts of corporate decisions on local communities. A stark example unfolded just before Thanksgiving, when Tyson Foods announced the closure of its meatpacking plant in Lexington, Nebraska. This facility, which processes around 5,000 head of cattle daily and accounts for nearly 5% of the nation's beef slaughter capacity, employs 3,200 workers in a town of only 11,000 residents. The shutdown isn't just a job loss. It ripples through the local economy, affecting suppliers, retailers, and service providers. Tyson has indicated plans to redirect operations to other sites, but critics argue this move exemplifies broader trends in market manipulation. Indeed, the agriculture and food processing industries have seen significant consolidation over the years. Major players like Tyson and JBS control over 40% of the U.S. meat market, influencing prices from farm to table. Recent data from the Consumer Price Index shows ground beef reaching a record $6.54 per pound, a 16.2% increase year. Farmers report receiving lower payments for their livestock, while consumers face higher grocery bills. Similar patterns appear in other sectors. Fertilizer prices have surged due to limited suppliers, and grain markets are dominated by a handful of corporations. Even inputs like seeds and chemicals come from concentrated sources, such as Chinese-owned Syngenta, leaving producers with few alternatives. These dynamics point to long-standing concerns about antitrust enforcement. The Packers and Stockyards Act of 1921, designed to prevent unfair practices in livestock markets, has been invoked in discussions around plant closures, in cases like Lexington, where facilities are mothballed rather than sold, preventing competitors from stepping in. Questions arise about compliance with laws aimed at fostering competition. Broader consolidations in rail transport and media further limit options for Nebraskans, contributing to what some describe as an environment favoring large corporations over small businesses and workers. In response to these challenges, new voices are emerging in Nebraska's politics. One such figure is Dan Osborne, an independent candidate vying for the U.S. Senate seat currently held by Republican Pete Ricketts. Osborne, a veteran of both the Navy and Army National Guard, brings a background in labor and grassroots organizing to his campaign. He has made antitrust reform and addressing corporate monopolies central to his platform, arguing that true free markets require robust competition to drive down costs and benefit consumers. Osborne also advocates for campaign finance changes, criticizing rulings like Citizens United that equate corporate spending with free speech. He points to how unlimited donations can influence policy, often at the expense of average Americans. In the context of Nebraska's agriculture, he highlights how monopolistic practices in everything from seed production to meat packing exacerbate affordability issues. His opponent, Pete Ricketts, comes from a prominent business family that founded TD Ameritrade and owns a professional baseball team. A former governor, Ricketts was appointed to the Senate after the previous occupant, Ben Sasse, resigned to become president of the University of Florida, transition that coincided with donations from the Ricketts family to the institution. As senator, Ricketts has faced criticism for positions seen as out of step with public sentiment, such as strong opposition to medical marijuana despite a 2024 ballot initiative passing with 71% support. Proponents of legalization argue it could provide relief for medical conditions, but implementation has stalled amid legal challenges backed by state officials. Osborne's approach contrasts sharply. He emphasizes direct engagement, having conducted hundreds of town halls across the state. He positions himself as a centrist, aiming to work within practical boundaries to achieve results, rather than extremes, regardless of party. Many Nebraskans express a desire for leaders who address core issues like economic stability and healthcare access head-on. As these stories unfold, Nebraska serves as a microcosm of larger American debates. From trade policies to corporate power, the choices made in Washington reverberate in places like Lexington and Omaha. What remains is how voters and policymakers will respond, whether through renewed antitrust efforts, healthcare extensions, or shifts toward independent voices. The outcomes could influence not just one state, but the direction of rural economies nationwide.